Welcome to SignatureTV News. I am Barry Kumo Ado. In the headlines, Labour agrees to resume talks with federal government over minimum wage. 2 killed, 7 kidnapped in Ebonyi communal clashes. Court rejects Nnamdi Kanu's fresh bail request. On the foreign scene, South African court excludes Zuma from upcoming parliamentary election. And in sports, Arteta congratulates City as Arsenal title wait continues. Details in a moment. The organised Labour has agreed to attend a meeting of a tripartite committee on the national minimum wage slated for Tuesday. The Vice President of the Trade Union Congress, TUC, Etim Okon, gave the confirmation in an interview with newsmen in Abuja on Monday. The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, and the TUC had walked out on the negotiation meeting as the federal government proposed 48,000 naira as new minimum wage for workers in the country. Labour also accused the government of failure to provide any substantiated data to support their offer and lack of transparency and good faith, which it said undermines the credibility of the negotiation process. Mr. Adewale Smart Oyenride, Director General of Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, NECA, expressed hope that the Tuesday meeting would be successful. Oyenride said that the federal government had prevailed over what happened at the last meeting as Labour had worked out of a negotiation process. The president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, says the Congress is not aware of major talks involving the Labour Party with some political parties in the country. There have been speculations about the possibility of a merger between the LP and the People's Democratic Party following the meeting between the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and the presidential candidate of the PDP in the election, Atiku Abubakar. Obi also recently met with some PDP stalwarts in Abuja, including a former Senate President, Bukola Saraki, and a former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido. Both Atiku and Obi ran on the PDP joint ticket in 2019, but were defeated by former President Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressive Congress. However, due to internal conflict within the PDP, Obi left the party in 2022 and contested the 2023 presidential election as the candidate of the Labour Party. President Bola Tinubu has approved the establishment of a committee to oversee the Green Economic Initiative, known as the Presidential Committee on Climate Action and Green Economic Solutions. Tinubu also approved the appointment of a special advisor on media and publicity, Ajurin Gelale, a special envoy on climate action, and the appointment of Infrastructure Corporation of Nigeria as a lead arranger and developer of Evergreen City, Nigeria's first green industrial zone. The committee, according to a statement by Segun Imohiosen, Director of Information and Public Relations in the Office of the Secretary to the Federal Government. I beg your pardon, I'll take that again. The committee, according to a statement by Segun Imohiosen, Director of Information and Public Relations in the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, will coordinate and oversee all the policies and programs on climate action and green economic development. The move is to remove the constraints to coordination, foster a whole-of-government approach to climate action programs, and provide an efficient governance architecture. A former representative of Ebonyi Central's senatorial zone in the National Assembly, Emmanuel Onwe, is calling for the establishment of a food intelligence agency to support the recent federal government declaration of emergency in food production and security. Onwe, who made a call while briefing journalists in Enugu, noted that the declaration of a state of emergency on food security should have galvanized mass action in agricultural practices and pushed the Food Intelligence Agency into action to rescue the nation from food inflation, hunger, and outright starvation. President Bola Tinubu in July 2023 declared a state of emergency on food security. Tinubu also proved that all matters of food and water availability and affordability be included within the purview of a National Security Council. 2 persons were killed while 7 others were abducted in an attack on Ikachi village in Akbarata area of Effium in Oaoku local government area of Ebonyi State. The spokesperson for Ebonyi Police Command, Joshua Okando, who confirmed the incident, said the accident also destroyed property worth millions of naira in the area on Sunday. He added that the police had been working with other security agencies to restore peace into the area and also ascertain the cause of the latest flare-up of communal clashes in the area. Eza and Effium communities have been enmeshed in deadly clashes since 2021. Okando said the officers and men of the command were committed to the protection of life and property in the state. We now take a break, but before that, court rejects Nnamdi Kanu's fresh bail requests. Welcome back. The Federal High Court in Abuja on Monday rejected the request of terrorist negotiator Mohammed Mamu to be transferred from the custody of the Department of State Service to Kuje Prison. Delivering a ruling on the application, Justice Inyang Ekwo said the issue of incessant jailbreaks in prisons is a major reason why Toko's transfer request is opposed, as the federal government had raised concerns about this. Justice Ekwo held that Mamu did not contradict the presentations of a prosecution as required by law, which means that they are deemed to be true and that they needed no further proof. Mamu, through his lawyer Abdul Mohammed, alleged that the order of the court made on December 19, 2023, that he be allowed access to his personal physician for medical treatment was not complied with by the DSS. The Federal High Court, sitting in Abuja on Monday, dismissed a fresh application brought by detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, to be released on bail pending the determination of a treasonable felony charge preferred against him by the federal government. The court, in a ruling delivered by trial Justice Binta Nyako, said she was exercising her discretion based on the fact that the defendant jumped the bail it earlier granted him. Justice Nyako noted that those who stood surety for the defendant and after he escaped from the country approached the court and applied to be discharged from the case. She held that the sureties in their applications claimed that they were not aware of the whereabouts of the defendant, a situation that forced the court to order the forfeiture of their 100 million bail bonds. It held that having refused Kanu's request for bail on several occasions, the only option available to him was to take the matter before the appellate court. The court also refused Kanu's request to be either transferred to prison custody or placed on house arrest, but however ordered the Department of State Services to always grant Kanu access to his team of lawyers, not exceeding 5 persons on every visiting day. President Bola Tinubu has joined other world leaders to condole with the government and people of the Islamic Republic of Iran over the passing of President Ibrahim Raisi, who died along with the Foreign Minister Hussein Ami Abdullahian and other officials in a helicopter crash. In a statement by Ajuri Ngalale, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, on Monday in Abuja, Tinubu expressed grief over the tragedy, describing Raisi as a leader who was committed to the development of Iran. While commiserating with the bereaved families, Tinubu prayed for the continuous peace, stability and prosperity of the Iranian nation. The 63-year-old, a figure representing conservative and hardline factions in Iranian politics, was president for nearly 3 years. The Iranian president died on Monday after his helicopter crashed in a mountainous region of the country. Meanwhile, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has assigned Vice President Mohammad Mokber to assume interim duties after the death of President Ibrahim Raisi. The Supreme Leader has also declared 5 days of mourning for President Rassi. We're taking a break now. ICC seeks arrest for warrant of Israeli Prime Minister. Welcome back. South Africans go to the polls on May 29th, with elections falling nearly a month after the 30th anniversary of the first post-apartheid elections held on April 27, 1994. Ahead of the election in May, the ANC is likely to lose its parliamentary majority for the first time since Nelson Mandela led it to power at the fall of apartheid 30 years ago. The ANC's image has been tarnished in the past decade by economic stagnation, rising unemployment, and repeated corruption scandals involving its top officials. Its current leader, President Cyril Ramaphosa, has tried to clean up the party's reputation and revive the economy since replacing Jacob Zuma in 2018, but has struggled to make much headway. Analysts say losing its majority might jolt the party to do better on service delivery, expanding the economy, and address other ills like crime and corruption. Still in South Africa, the South African top court ruled on Monday that former president turned firebrand opposition challenger Jacob Zuma is ineligible to stand for parliament in next week's general election. The decision will outrage Zuma's supporters and stoke fears of violent unrest in the run-up to May 29 poll, which is believed to be the most competitive since the advent of post-apartheid democracy in 1994. The top court threw out Zuma's complaint against an electoral commission decision that a previous conviction for contempt prevents him from becoming a member of parliament, ruling that the constitution bars anyone sentenced to more than 12 months in jail. Zuma, who left office in 2018, dogged by corruption allegations, was convicted of contempt of court during a case in 2021 and was sentenced to 15 months. Eventually served less than 3 months in jail, but the court ruled this remission irrelevant. The prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, ICC, on Monday said it had requested arrest warrants against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Joe Gallant for alleged war crimes in Gaza. ICC also announced it was seeking arrest warrants against 3 leading Hamas militants for their alleged roles in the October 7 attacks in Israel for war crimes and crimes against humanity. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had last April stated that if the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for government officials on charges related to the conduct of its war against Hamas, it will be a scandal on an historical scale. It will be up to the court's pre-trial judges to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to issue warrants. China's Ministry of Commerce announced on Monday the inclusion of some companies on its unreliable entities list as it sold arms to China's Taiwan region. It will not be approved. The ministry also said that there was evidence that cap logs of the United States circumvented the unreliable entities list regulations by transferring goods purchased from China to the unreliable entities. The ministry urged cap logs to take measures as soon as possible to ensure that all relevant goods, technologies, and services purchased to the office. The death of some Nollywood actors in the recent past has raised concern about practitioners and industry watchers. The industry has not only lost prominent practitioners and veterans, but also some budding and upcoming artists. Correspondent Ebenezer Odo spoke with some actors on the state of the industry.
While some of the actors died after brief illness, others died after protracted sickness. Some stakeholders have emphasized the need for them to carry out regular medical checks to prevent avoidable deaths. This is because of the heavy schedules they have to contend with to meet their financial challenges and craze for stardom. Some movie stars who spoke on the issue listed lack of equipment, which they said are readily available to their foreign counterparts.
You can't place Nollywood and Hollywood. Number one is that Hollywood have more equipment more than Nollywood. You understand? And they make provision of everything. Both, okay, for instance now, this death of Junior Pope wouldn't have happened had it was Hollywood.
The government, said to say, I won't say much because we expected much from them. Like outside country, after Nigeria, like likes of South Africa, Ghana, or just Ghana here, the government, even other corporate bodies come to their aid in terms of producing. But here, so we do it ourselves. We expect more from the government, like Oluvatu. Not as if they're not doing more, but they are doing a little, but we expect more from them.
The actors who went spiritual stress the need for prayers of all Nigerians for God's guidance in their rehearsals and shootings because of the terrain under which they operate.
Just need prayer because it's not easy. The things we are facing at the moment is ultimate death. Is a big challenge to us, which we are asking God to help Nollywood entirely.
While it may not be completely correct to say that death is peculiar to the movie industry, the need for greater consciousness about human health need to be emphasized. From Enugu, Ebenezer Odo, SignatureTV News.
In sports, Arsenal's 2-1 victory over Everton proved in vain as their hopes of a first Premier League title for 20 years were crushed on the final day of a season on Sunday. Mikel Arteta's side began the day needing a win and for Manchester City to fail to beat West Ham United, a scenario that few inside the Emirates Stadium believed would happen.
Manchester City for winning the Premier League. Unbelievable what they've done. Since December, we've been on an incredible journey with every performance index being at the highest level that we have seen. And it still wasn't enough, and this is the level. So today some mixed emotion. First of all, to really be proud of those players, the staff, that they've done an incredible job, and they have pushed every limit, every margin that we could find to try to win this Premier League. And unfortunately, it was a bit short, and we could not deliver the big prize that we wanted, because you can feel it that they are desperate for it.
All hope looked lost when Idrissa Gueye's deflected free kick put Everton in front and City led 2-0, but Takehiro Tomiyasu levelled before half-time at around the same time that West Ham halved the defeat at City. Kai Harvest fired home Arsenal's winner late, meaning they ended the season with 6 successful victories, but they had to settle for the runners-up spot for the second successive season, as City wrapped up a record 4th consecutive title by beating West Ham 3-1. Arsenal ended with 89 points to City's 91. Meanwhile, Liverpool delivered much-loved manager Jurgen Klopp a victory in his final game with the team on Sunday, a 2-0 win over 10-man Wolverhampton Wanderers at Anfield in an emotional Premier League season final. Alexis McAllister and Jarrod Quansah scored on a day that did not impact the Reds' third-place finish in the table, but one that Liverpool's fans had been dreading since the 56-year-old German manager announced in late January that he will leave the club at the season's end after almost 9 years at the helm. Klopp's men, who were on course to give their beloved manager a fairy tale ending before a string of bad results last month derailed their title challenge, finished the season on 82 points, 9 behind winners Manchester City. Wolves were reduced to 10 men in the 28th minute when Nelson Semedo was sent off for his ugly tackle on McAllister. 6 minutes later, the Argentine midfielder headed home Harry Elliott's curling cross, bringing Klopp to his feet with a huge smile. Quansah doubled Liverpool's lead in the 40th minute when he poked in Liverpool talisman Mohamed Salah's shot. That's the size of our package. I am Marikumo Ado. Thanks for watching.